Amen. 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 Good evening, Rabbi. We're going to continue talking about the proper way to pronounce the Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew language. We finished yesterday, Baruch Hashem. We were zochet to finish all the Aleph Bet. But there was one thing I didn't cover, which was the pay. There was something I didn't point out right, with the pay. We did cover the pay, but there was one thing we missed, which is that what? That here also, right, there are some communities, when the pay is rafui, it doesn't have a dot inside, no dagesh. What happens is that they still say it with the hard way, the pay, the p way. So what does that mean? I think that the Georgians, if I'm not mistaken, when they say the word Ephraim, they say Ephraim. That's how they were saying it, no? Ephraim. Am I right? Yeah. So they're saying the hard way, right? But the truth is, most people say Ephraim, but we say Ephraim. This is our custom, right? And also the Syrians, again, right? The same thing. The Syrians have the same issue, like we have with the bet as well, right? Abraham and Ephraim. This is the way it's done by the Syrians and the Georgians. But the other communities, most of the other communities don't say like this, the Ashkenazi and the Sephardim. They say the soft F, right? The F sound, right? The PH sound, whatever you want to call it, right? That's the way they say most communities. So as we said, what's the conclusion, by the way, with these two things? Which custom is better, which custom is the best? So as we said, the best way probably to do it is if you live in a country where they say over there the hard way, like if you live in Syria, if you live in Georgia, so then do it like they do over there. But once you leave the country, that you used to do like that, and now you go to a different country. Let's say, you went to Eretz Israel, you made Aliyah, you went to America, emigrazia, Gagata, So if you went over there, since most of the people do over there the soft way, so you can switch that, no problem, Why is that? Because says Maran, Bet Yosef, in his book Avkat Rochel, he has a tshuva about this, Siman Reishut Bet, in Avkat Rochel. He says over there, that when a person goes from one country to another, he doesn't take his minhagim with him to the second country. What happens is that he has to take the minhagim of that country that he came to over there. That's the way it is. So once you leave your old country, you're done with that, right, pretty much, and now you're going to a different country, you have to accept the minhagim over there. By the way, this even applies, even if you're Sephardi, and that country is Ashkenazi country. Everybody over there is Ashkenazi. There's no bet din over there, Sephardi. So what do you have to do? You have to become Ashkenazi. You have to convert, You don't have to go to the mikveh. It's okay. You go to the mikveh. They charge you for that, right, for the mikveh, right? Now it's locked, right, Rabbi? They don't let you in for free to the mikveh. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. He knows my joke. Okay, so as we said, right, that you don't need mikveh for that. But the truth is, if you go to a place where there's no Sephardim, everybody over there is Ashkenazi, you have to become like them. And this is exactly what happened, in history. What happened was that when there was the expulsion from Spain, right, the Inquisition over there, and the Jews were thrown out of Spain, what happened was that they went to also, some of them went to Ashkenazi countries, some of them went to Poland. Right? So some of the Polish Jews today are really Sephardi descent. Right? They say, by the way, that the Admorim, many of the Admorim from the Hasidic world came from these families, Sephardi families that went to Poland. And that's why, they have a different approach a little bit to Judaism. Yeah.
The Safta of Alter Rebbe was from Portugal.
There you go, right? I'm telling you, it's all over the place. I know this. And I personally have heard about many Admorim, I know their families, that their families come from Spain, originally. This is a very known thing. So whatever, okay, but anyway, right, when you go there, you have to switch. That's the way it is, right? But today, it's a little bit different, Why different? Because today, when you go to most countries today, there's also a Sephardi community there as well, So if there's a Sephardi community there, you can stay with them, and you can do the minhagim with them, no problem, But if there's nothing over there, just you, and you're staying there, you're not going back to your old country, so you got to switch. There's nothing you can do. And that's exactly what happened with the Jews of Spain, right? When they went to Poland, they became Ashkenazi. That's what happened. What, they stayed Sephardi over there? No way. No such a thing like that, right? So, same thing, right? When it comes to when it comes to going today, right? If a person goes to Eretz Israel, he comes from Georgia, right? So a lot of people went from Georgia straight to Eretz Israel. I went first to America, and then I went to Israel, right? And we took a pit stop, whatever, right? All kinds of things like this, and there's all kinds of variations about that, right? But the point is that Maran Rabbi Shalom, he brings this Afkat Rochel. The Afkat Rochel says when you go from one country to another, you have to take the minhagim of that new country. So therefore, he used to tell people, Maran, whoever is Sephardi now came to Eretz Israel has to take on the minhagim of Eretz Israel. Don't not tell me, you're Moroccan, you're Georgian, you're Parsi. Excuse me, that was before. Now you're somewhere else. You're not there anymore. That's not the way it works. You are what you are now, right? Basher Husham, whatever you are now, that's all we care. That's all we care. What do you say, Avi?
The Gemara says, Dina de Malchuta Dina.
Oh, that's talking about Dina Mamonot. That's something else. That's talking about monetary law. Here we're talking about Minhagim. It's a little bit different, my friend. God bless you. God bless you. There's a whole discussion about that in Kosher Mishpat, by the way, in the Gemara, in the Shulchan Aruch, about when that applies, Dina Malchuta Dina. But for sure, we're not talking about Minhagim, right? That's not the issue over there. The issue is Dina Mamonot, monetary issues, financial issues. That's the word. Or taxes, things like this, all kinds of things. Okay, so anyway, getting back to our discussion, right? As we said, so therefore, if a person goes to Eretz Israel, he can already, pretty much do the minhagim of Eretz Israel, and he can, therefore, he can pronounce the word just like they pronounce over there. There's nothing wrong with that. You can switch it. A lot of people have already done that, by the way. It's already like second generation, third generation. They don't know. They don't even know anymore where they came from. Their grandparents. You ask them, where are you from? I don't know. I'm Israeli. I don't know. Don't ask me where I'm from. What do I know? And that's what they tell you. They don't even know where they're from. They don't care. They don't even care about it. It's all like that. They do whatever they do over there. That's the way it is. And that's the way it goes. So therefore, right, the person who goes also to America, same thing, right? When you come to America, you don't really have to keep the minhagim of your old country. Now you keep the minhagim of whatever is over here. So what's over here? What is over here? We already talked about that, right? There's a true of the Marshdam. When you're there, the Marshdam, who was a big rabbi in Saloniki, right, in Greece, Salonika. So over there, he says that Marshdam, that when you go to a place where there's many minhagim over there, there's no uniform minhag, you don't have to do any of those minhagim. You can just keep a Shulchan Aruch and that's it. Gaman. You're Sephardi, keep Sephardi. You're Ashkenazi, keep Ashkenazi, and that's it. That's the way it goes. Okay, so what does that mean, right? That a person, when he goes to a new country, he can take on the minhagim over there, and especially as well as the pronunciation, right? Higui. You can also take on that as well. And people are doing that, by the way. That's the way it is. Okay, so right there. Now, getting back to our discussion, right, regarding the higui of the vowels. Let's go to the vowels, right? Nekudot, right, which are under the letters, right? So, but those are also very important. The truth is, right, it says in Shulchan Aruch that if you write a Sefer Torah with the nekudot, right? Can you imagine if a sofer does that, right? It's a pasul. You're not allowed to write a Sefer Torah with nekudot. Pasul. Even b'diavad it's not kosher. You know what I mean? So you might think, I'll be a wise guy. I'll put the nekudot in my Sefer Torah and I'll read, everything like beautiful. They'll think I'm a big expert. He's a professor. Rabbi. You can't do that, right? Asur to do that. You can't put nikudot in the Sefer Torah. But nevertheless, even though you're not allowed to,
there's no space anyway. It's too
it's okay. Yeah, but nevertheless, right? Even though you're not allowed to put nikudot, but we do have a masoret, tradition about what the nekudot are. We have a tradition about that. The truth is, there's two of them. There's two masorot, at least two, right? There's Ashkenazi and there's Sephardi. A little bit different. The nekudot of the Ashkenazim is not the same as the Sephardi. A little bit different, in some places. So it is what it is, but it's almost the same, more or less, right? A little bit different. But, if you look at there's a computer program, right? If you want to put nekudot, let's say you write a book, right, in Hebrew, and you want to put nekudot with the computer, right? The computer's going to put nekudot for you because it knows where to put, has a special program like that. So there's two programs, right? There's a Sephardi program and there's an Ashkenazi program because it's not the same. If you want to do it this way, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. It's not the same thing. So to each one, right, has his own custom. That's the way it is. So now let's get to the nekudot, right, and talk about them. The first, right, nekudah that we're going to talk about is the kamatz, right, which is like this and like this, right, cross, like half a cross, leavdil, right, leavdil.
plus sign.
Yeah, plus sign, right, exactly, right, plus sign. Half a plus sign. So what's going on over there? Right? How do you say the kamats? So the truth is, the Ashkenazim, how they say the kamats? They say oh. Oh, they say. But we don't say like that, right? We Ashkenazim, we Sfaradim, we don't say oh. So what do we say? We say right? But the Bukharians, right, and the Persians, they have a different way of doing it, right? Yavo shlishi v'yachriya benehem. They have like a middle ground. They don't do exactly the Ashkenazim, or they don't do exactly like the Sfaradim. They do like in the middle. What does that mean? They say Avraham, like home, not Avraham, like a cholem. That's too much, right? They don't say like Avraham. They say Avraham, like that. And so they're like in the middle, So the truth is that there are some Rishonim who say that this is the proper way, by the way, to say kamats, So it's certainly the Bukharians and the Persians, they have what to rely on to do their custom like that. Nobody can tell them nothing, Don't open your mouth and criticize them, because it's a masoret by them, and it's correct masoret according to several authorities. So then, right, the question is like this: what about the Ashkenazim? They do right, which is the cholem. We're going to discuss about cholem, right? So this is the reason why, by the way, the Ashkenazim, what they do is, since their kamats, the half cross, right, the half plus, right, the Rabbi said plus, right, the plus sign, right, since their kamats is like a cholem, so what they do is they make the cholem also different than that, because they can't be the same, So what do they do, the Ashkenazim? They make the cholem, what is cholem? Cholem means it's a vav with the dot on top. That's called cholem. Right? So, how do they say that, the Ashkenazim? We say right?
Yes.
We say like that, But they do the kamats like that, so therefore the cholem, they change it a little bit to make it different. So how do they say? They say oi. Oi. So, this is the way they do it, right? If you look at, especially the real Ashkenazim, the true Ashkenazim, the deep Ashkenazim, the ones who really have a masoret, that's the way they talk, right? Oi, they say. Not oi. Like hoidu, right? Yeah, it's like that, right? That's the way they say. So the question is that correct, by the way? The truth is, it's not really correct. According to masoret that we have, this is not the correct way. It's really, artificial. A little bit artificial there, because that E is not supposed to be there. There's no business. It's not two letters over there, right? Two vowels, O, E. O and E. How can it be like that? It's only one vowel, right? So how can it be two? So it's not really correct that way. By the way, you should know that this has a big nafkamina in halakha. There's a big issue in halakha about this. So you know when the issue is? When you say the word Shem Hashem, right? So how are the Ashkenazim, they say Shem Hashem? Adoi noi. Adoi noi. I'll say it again. You've heard that, right? You go to Ashkenazi shul. So the question is, by the way, not all of them say like that, but some of them do. So according to their system, this is the way it's supposed to be. But the truth is, Rabbi Yashiv, who was their big chacham, the Ashkenazim in Eretz Israel. In Eretz Israel, he was the top chacham of the Ashkenazim. He was number one. Top posek. Right? So you know what he said, right, Rabbi Yashiv? He said, whoever says this way, like I just told you, Hashem Hashem, he's not being Yotzei Dechovah. Not Yotzei Dechovah. So even Rabbi Yashiv, who was the biggest Ashkenazi, he himself admitted that this is wrong. So then, what should they do? They should say Adonoi, right? According to them, that's the way it should, not Adoinoi. Because what's the problem if you do Adoi like that? The problem is? You're doing hefsek between the two parts of the Shem Hashem. You're putting something in the middle which is not supposed to be there. So you're distorting, you're changing the name of God, God forbid. Yeah, because you're adding something new over there, which is not supposed to be there, I'm not saying about this, Artificial ingredients, that's what it is, right? So therefore, said Rabbi Yashiv, that a person should not say like that. Even Ashkenazi shouldn't read the word Shem Hashem like that. Adoi noi. This is not correct. So what happened was, I remember, when Rabbi Yashiv made this psak halacha, the Ashkenazim were, they all listened to him, they listened to Rabbi Yashiv, When he said something, they did it. That's the way he was, He was a big chacham, So Once he told them not to do it, they stopped doing it. That was it. That was the end of that. But I must tell you, right, that even though they stopped doing with Shem Hashem, when it comes to the rest of the reading, they still do it. Only with Shem Hashem they don't do it. You understand? So now this is their mahalach. This is the way they do it. So they say Cholem is Adoi. Shake it, Sham. See what shake it. Okay. Okay, so that's the idea, right? So this is the way the way it works regarding the kamats. So then, what do the Sephardim do? How does a Sephardi differentiate between kamats and patach? Because patach is just the line, right, like this. So they're both according to our tradition. Right. They're both Right. So then, how do you differentiate? So what they do is, right, as we said, right, that the Bukharians and the Persians, they do a little bit bent. They bend it a little bit to make it closer to Cholam a little bit, halfway, not all the way. Avraham, right, like that, right. But some of the Ashkenazim, how they say, right? They say Avrum. They go Avrum. You've heard this, right? Avrum. Like that they say, right? Sometimes. So I remember Maran Rabbi Bashlom. He made a joke with us one time. He was joking with us, So he said. I say slang, slang India, we call that in Hebrew lage safa, when a person distorts the proper pronunciation. That's the way it is, right? This is what we're talking about. So the Maran Rabbi Bashlom used to make a joke about this. What the joke was? He used to say, when Avraham Avinu, Tchiat HaMetim, when everybody gets up from Tchiat HaMetim, so Avraham Avinu is also going to get up, right? We're going to see Avraham Avinu, we're going to see Aaron HaKohen, right? Everybody, right? The whole thing, right? All the great Chachamim, So they say, right, the rabbi said, they're going to go to him, the Ashkenazim, and say, Avraham Avinu! He's going to tell them, I'm sorry, my name is not Avram, Avraham was my name. What are you talking about? Like this. So, he was making a joke, but the point is well made, So you have to call a person by his real name, Don't call him Avrum. His name is Abraham, excuse me, you have to know what his name is. Okay, so getting back to what we said, right? So how do you differentiate the cholem? So with the kamatz, the kamatz is a little bit of a tunla gdola. It's a little bit of a larger, longer, than the patach. Patach is shorter, and the kamatz is a little bit longer. This is the way we differentiate. Some people do this way. There's also something to rely on. There's a book, Halacha Berurah, that talks about that, which was written about 10 years ago. Talks about this issue over there. So they do it this way. It's very slight. It's very. You can't even notice it sometimes. The truth is, that a typical Sephardi guy, you won't see the difference between the patach and the kamatz. It's the same, but there is a little bit of a difference there. If you're medakdek, there should be a little bit of difference there. Okay, very good. So what about now the issue of segol and tzera, right? Tzera is 2 dots, right? 1 to horizontally, tzera. That's called tzera, right? So here also the Ashkenazim, the way they do is they say a, right? When they have tzera, they say a, like baseball. Baseball, or let's say, you have like the word zecher, right? Like zecher Amalek, it says, right? It says, right, in the Chumash. So they say zecher, zecher, right? That's the way they say, What do we say? We say zecher. We don't say zeicher. Right? So which one is the correct way? For sure here, the Sephardi one is correct. Right? It's supposed to be sound and not a. It's not a baseball, right? It's not a, right? One of these kind of words, right? Pain, like pain, pain. No, we don't say like that. That's not the way we say, right? And our version is more correct. So here also, right, what's the difference? Then the question is like this, right? What's the difference between the tzera, the 2 dots, horizontally, and the segol, which is samitzertili, 3 dots? The triangle, right? What's the difference? They're all both sound. So here also, one of them is a little bit longer than the other, according to Sephardi custom, right? So therefore, the tzera is a tunla gdola. It's a larger, it's longer, and the segol is a little bit shorter. This is the difference between the two, but they're almost the same, almost 100% the same. Okay, very good. So we got the segol, we got the tzere. So now let's talk about the shuruk, right, and the cholem. So the cholem we already discussed, right? Cholem is the vav with the dot on top. So here, right, we say o. In the Ashkenazim, they say oi, right, which is a little bit too much, right? A little bit exaggerated, as we said, right? It's not really correct that way. That's their custom, though, And probably the reason why it's their custom to do it this way is because they want to differentiate, as we said, right, between this and that. They don't want it to be the same. So therefore, they did something to change it, in order to... by the way, you see in Ashkenazi books, this kind of thing. In Achronim, what they say is, in order to differentiate this from this, make this a little bit different, even though it's not really different, but make it different in order to differentiate. So they do have a system like this, the Ashkenazim, where they want to make each one sound a little bit different. So that's why they do it like that. This is the whole thing, right? Okay, very good. So what about the shuruk, right? Which is the 3 dots, like going in a slanted, right? Slanted, like Ashkenazi mezuzah, right? Yeah, how do you say it? It's oo sound, right? Ooh. This everybody knows, right? It's very clear, right? Okay, very good. So we got pretty much the vowels, right? Except one we missed, right? Sheva, right? Which is the 2 dots, like this, one under the other, horizontally, one under the other. So what about the Sheva? Sheva is a little bit tricky, right? So the truth is, it depends on where it is, the Sheva, right? If it's in the beginning of the word, it becomes like a sekol, beginning of the word, But if it's in the middle, we don't pronounce it at all. It's like not pronounced at all. Just like nothing, there. So segol, Sheva can be, there's Sheva nach, there's Sheva na. These are the 2 things, right? Nach, what does that mean, nach? Resting, right? It's nach. What does that mean? We don't say it. It's like it's not there. That's called Sheva nach. Sheva na, what does na mean? It's moving. What does that mean? You're pronouncing it. It has a significance. So therefore, when it's Sheva, how do we know if it's Sheva nach or Sheva na? Depending on where it is in the word. If it's at the beginning of the word, we use it, we say it. We say And if it's not, right, for instance, like, I'll give you an example, right? Shlomo Melech, right? Shlomo. So how do we say that as Sfaradim? Shelomo, right? Why is that? Because there's a Sheva under the Shin. So it's not Shlomo, it's Shelomo. That's why we say it that way. Right? But if it's in the middle of the word, we don't pronounce the Sheva. It's Sheva nach, it's resting over there. There's also a little bit different, there's a different variation, which is sometimes you have 2 Sheva, 2 letters, each of them has a Sheva next to each other. So what we do over there is we pronounce the second one and not the first one. That's the way it works. So if you know this system, this dikduk, the rules of dikduk, you're going to be good, right? You're going to know what to do in every situation. This is the way, right? And if you're not sure, what should you do? Listen to some, good chazan, chacham, who knows how to say everything properly. And he'll teach you, right, how to listen to him carefully. And you'll see from him, right, what to do and what not to do. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. Forgive me. So what I want to tell you is like this, right? Let's finish it off. I wasn't looking at the clock. So it says in the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, that wherever it says Kriyat Shema, in Dikdukia, right? Everything meduyak, like the proper pronunciation, mekarin lo taginam, right? That they cool off the ginam for him. So what does that mean? He doesn't get burned in ginam just because he has a zchut that he says a Kriyat Shema everything properly, And this is why a person should be careful. When he says Kriyat Shema, everything you should say the proper way, like just like we described, right? All these things, all these dikdukim. Make sure you say everything properly. And if you do, the Kadosh Baruch Hu cools down the ginam for you. It's like you're getting off for free. It's a big zechut.
People pray too fast. Sometimes we cannot say it.
We'll continue next time, B'ezrat Hashem. I don't want to keep them too long, Avi.
People pray too much.
Rabbi Hananiah ben Ekasha אומר, הצוות הקדוש ברוך הוא לצורך ישראל, לפיכך ירבה להם תורה מוצאו שאומרים חפש, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה בידי.
אמן, אמן, אמן.